Welcome back everyone, it's Charlie. This is going to be my new Stranger Things Season 4 trailer video. Whole bunch of familiar faces. You may have recognized a couple other people. Obviously everyone's just talking about Hopper, so we'll break it all down. There are a couple Easter eggs here, and we found out a little bit more about what's going on with the Season 4 episodes. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the Easter egg videos, so we'll just do top 10 WTF and Easter eggs as we go along. So starting with number 10, Stranger Things dropped this new Season 4 trailer for Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. New footage, and they also posted some movies that inspired some of the storylines, primarily prison-themed, as you can see from this list, but also John Carpenter's The Thing, which I think is a reference to the Demogorgon, the white Demogorgon that we saw in the Season 3 post-credit scene. If you couldn't tell from the Russian hymn that was being sung in the background with all these Russian military guards and then Hopper showing up, this is obviously meant to be Kamchatka, Russia in Siberia. So number 9 WTF, Hopper is revealed to be alive, and it answers a lot of questions about the Stranger Things Season 3 post-credit scene from Kamchatka. We saw that big long scene of the Russian military prison where we saw the prisoner get dragged out kicking and screaming down to the pit where they fed it to the new white Demogorgon, but they passed by a cell and paused for a hot minute saying, "No, not the American." Myself, a lot of other people just assumed that they were talking about Hopper because he was the major hanging plot thread at the end of the season. Big mystery question, what happened to him? We never saw a body, and by the rules and laws of television and movies, if you don't see a body, that means that they're probably coming back. The new teaser footage just confirms that it was him inside that prison cell. But number 8, it doesn't confirm how he wound up in that prison in Siberia. I think there are only two ways, that it's either a missing time period between the blast and when the authorities made it down there to inspect the facility. There were probably some other Russians that weren't blown up in the blast that were able to escape, and they took Hopper with them. The second option is that he traveled through the upside down gate before it was closed, but I think it's the more practical explanation. There were probably just some Russians that weren't killed. There was a bit of a time gap that allowed them to escape. They took Hopper with them because he was present for all this. He was responsible for it, so they wanted retribution, but they also wanted to keep him from telling all their secrets to the authorities. Number 7 WTF, this is kind of fun. You may have noticed a very special new guest star in the Season 4 teaser footage as they're panning before they reveal Hopper. It's Jaqen H'ghar from Game of Thrones. He just got done playing a villain on Jack Ryan Season 2, so he's done a lot of stuff since he left Game of Thrones. Typically, he plays major badass characters. This footage implies he's going to be one of the Russian military bosses in charge of whatever this new project is going on during Season 4. He and Hopper will probably wind up having some kind of crazy Royal Rumble, Rage in a Cage, every fight metaphor you can think of. R.I.P. Alexei, may you rest in peace. Funny story too, David Harbour is obviously in the Marvel Black Widow movie, which is coming out in a couple months. He's playing a character called Alexei Shostakov, aka Red Guardian, a Russian. Just a really funny coincidence that he is playing a character who's a Russian and named Alexei after being in Stranger Things Season 3 with this version of Alexei. Number 6, why is the military forcing them to do this chain gang, constructing a railway through the Siberian wilderness? It's probably something to do with whatever their experiments in the Russian upside-down portals. Typically, the only reason to construct train tracks like this on a military installation is for freight trains that carry really large gear and equipment, so it probably has something to do with the Russians trying to open a new portal to the upside down. Part of the idea of the upside down gates is that there are strategic positions all around the world where the barrier between dimensions is weak enough that you can actually open a gate. So you can't just do it anywhere. Like Eleven, for instance, way back in the events before Season 1, she was super powerful, she opened the tear on accident, but she was only able to do it here because the barrier between dimensions in the upside down was weak enough. If they would have been somewhere else in the United States, it might not have worked. Number 5 WTF, that's part of the reason why the first Russian gate wasn't successful in the events in the beginning of Season 3. They then had to come make the Starcourt Mall just to serve as a mask for the fact they were coming to the US to hijack the Hawkins portal and using the base underneath the Starcourt Mall. Like, they had almost everything they needed at this Russian location initially. The barrier was weak, they just did not have an Esper that was as powerful as Eleven. But the Russians do have their own Esper program, just like the one Eleven and her friends were part of. Speaking of which, number 4, there are 9 episodes total during Season 4. Typically there's only 8, so that extra episode kind of reminds you of Season 2 when we saw the other Espers from Eleven's program. Number 8 was their leader, and the last we saw them at the end of Stranger Things Season 2 episode was riding off into the night, wondering if they'd ever pay that off. The whole reason for that episode, in my mind, was just for Eleven to find other people like her who had been through the same thing and had the same type of powers. They didn't come back at all during Season 3, so it makes sense that they'd come back during Season 4 at some point to pay off that storyline and maybe also help Eleven and the group stop the Russians or defeat the Mind Flayer once and for all. Obviously, next big question, number 3, what happened to the Mind Flayer? The last we saw of the Mind Flayer, its avatar was defeated in the Season 3 finale. The big creature in the Starcourt Mall wasn't the Mind Flayer itself, it was more of a trans-dimensional finger puppet rat suit that the Mind Flayer was controlling from the Upside Down. It didn't physically enter Earth the way it seems like it was trying to. Remember way back during Season 2, it was trying to lay all that organic pipework underneath Hawkins, infecting our reality so that it could eventually just sort of walk into our dimension? At the end of Season 3, they defeated the Avatar and closed the Hawkins Gate again, but the Mind Flayer is still alive and well inside its home dimension of the Upside Down. Remember the other Season 4 teaser trailer they released last year? It was all about them going to the Upside Down. This footage is basically the Upside Down version of Hawkins, and the text reads, "We're not in Hawkins anymore," implying that they'll travel physically into the Upside Down. They left Hawkins at the end of Season 3, not really sure when we'd come back or if we'd come back at any point. The chimes of the clock ringing sound in that teaser also sounded like Big Ben's chimes in London, which may just be an indication that they're taking a major road trip to Europe and obviously Russia to maybe try and rescue Hopper. Like I said, the Stranger Things writers were posting this list of movies that inspired some of the episodes. A lot of them are movies set in prison, but most of them are about famous prison breaks. But here's the thing, there's been talk at Netflix of them doing Stranger Things Season 5, doing another season, so I'm not expecting them to actually go into the Upside Down and fully kill the Mind Flayer in its own dimension until the final season, whatever that winds up being. The only other option for a final season boss villain if you kill the Mind Flayer during Season 4 would be for the Mind Flayer to possess one of the characters so that one of the characters that we know winds up being the villain for the final season, and I'm not expecting them to take it that far. So early prediction, the cliffhanger for the Season 4 finale will end with them getting ready to fight the Mind Flayer one-on-one inside the Upside Down. Like they travel through dimensions, but they have to actually have the final battle with the Mind Flayer. 11 still doesn't have her powers back. That's probably just part of a personal loss arc that she'll be on during Season 4. Like she's Violet Evergarden, if you're a big anime fan, also a Netflix series. She has to learn to deal with the loss of her surrogate father. On that series, 11 has to learn to do the same thing because Hopper is her surrogate father. Spoiler warning for Violet Evergarden. But I think we're all expecting that 11 will get her powers back, or she'll find a way to access them again. If she ever really did lose them in the first place, it could just be something weird going on in her headspace. They haven't officially announced the release date yet, but a lot of people seem to think that it's going to be Christmas this year, just based on the production timeline and how long it takes them to get episodes out, and the fact that the Netflix account was posting this right at the end of December. But everyone, post your theories in the comments below. What do you think is going to be happening during Stranger Things Season 4? I'll do more bonus videos for the series as they release more trailers and footage. There'll be another really big Stranger Things Season 4 trailer in a couple months. While you wait for everything, everyone click here for that brand new Robert Pattinson Batman teaser trailer, and click here for my new Avengers Infinity Saga deleted scene. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay awesome. This is The Way.